This is the History of New Zealand podcast on the Eat to My Own Beat podcast network. Welcome back to episode 18 of the History of New Zealand podcast. Temperance and Prohibition. In New Zealand, Prohibition was a moralistic reform movement begun in the mid-1880s by the Protestant evangelical and nonconformist churches and the Women's Christian Temperance Union of New Zealand, and after in 1890 by the Prohibition League. It was achieved in goal of national prohibition. It was the middle-class movement which accepted the existence of economic and social order. The effort to legislate morally assumed the individual redemption was all that needed to carry the colony forward from a pioneering society to a more mature one. However, both the Church of England and the largely Irish Catholic Church rejected prohibition as an intrusion of the government into church's domain, while the growing labor movement saw capitalism rather than alcohol as the enemy. Reformers hoped that the women's vote, in which New Zealand was a pioneer, would swing the balance. The women were not as well organized as in the other countries. Prohibition had the majority in the national referendum in 1911, but needed a 60% majority to pass. The movement kept trying in the 1920s, losing 3 more referenda by close votes. Managed to keep in place a 6 p.m. closing hour for pubs on Sunday closing, leading to the so-called 6 o'clock swill. The Depression and war years effectively ended the movement. Thank you for listening to the History of New Zealand podcast. We're found on YouTube and anywhere else you could find your normal podcasts. Please like, comment, and subscribe, or find us at www.eattomyownbeat.com.